The Litchi Road, a tale of blood and tears in the golden age of Tang. The litchi, hailed as the king of fruits in the Tang Dynasty, carried the weight of poets' praises and emperors' obsessions. Lu Fu wrote in his poem Litchi, "Fresh litchis gleam like coxcomb red, their fragrance soft as molten jade." This delectable fruit, so delicate and perishable, had to be rushed from the distant south to Chang'an, weaving tales of legend. Boyong's novel The Litchi Road takes this historical detail as its spark, telling the twisting tale of a humble man, Li Shande, in the Tianbao era, racing to fulfill an impossible mission to deliver litchis. With delicate prose, the novel paints the splendor and severity of Tang society, revealing through Li Shande, a lowly courier, the struggles and dignity of an individual caught in the tides of history. The litchi is more than a fruit, it's a symbol of power, a projection of desire, and a testament to humanity's resilience in adversity. This book is not just a historical novel, it's a panoramic portrait of Tang Dynasty society. It shows us how an ordinary person, navigating the cracks of a rigid bureaucracy, uses wit and tenacity to achieve the unthinkable. To unpack this story, we'll explore it through 5 lenses: historical context, character arc, plot progression, thematic depth, and cultural resonance, tracing how Li Shande's journey intertwines with the litchi's imagery to reflect the complexity of human nature and the fleeting nature of an era. 1. Historical context, the Tang Dynasty behind the litchi. To grasp Li Shande's story, we must first step into the Tianbao era, a world of dazzling prosperity shadowed by looming crises. In the early reign of Emperor Xuanzang, the Kaiyuan era marked the zenith of Tang power, with Chang'an as the glittering hub of the Silk Road, drawing merchants, monks, and envoys from afar. The New Book of Tang, Gazetteer, records Chang'an's population nearing 1 million, its wide streets and orderly markets alive with songs and revelry day and night. The Western markets dancing Hu maidens, the Eastern markets silk trade, and the Southern markets bustling tea houses shaped the city's vibrant grandeur. Yet, by the Tianbao years, cracks had begun to show in this golden age. The shadow of the Anqi rebellion was gathering, Xuanzang was lost in his infatuation with consort Yang, and the court fell under the sway of scheming ministers like Li Linfu and Yang Guozong. The legend of litchi transport was born in this turbulent backdrop. Litchis, native to the southern regions like Guangzhou and Heipu, were prized for their vivid color and sweet juiciness but spoiled quickly. The Yuyang Zazu notes that litchis lost freshness within 3 days of picking, requiring bamboo tubes and galloping couriers to race them to Chang'an. This demanded not just logistical precision but pushed the Tang's courier system to its limits. The Tang courier network was a marvel of the ancient world, with the Tang 6 statutes documenting 1,639 stations and tens of thousands of horses dedicated to relaying military reports, tributes, and urgent dispatches. Divided into land and water stations, land routes relied on horse relays, while water routes used boats, with couriers and runners working tirelessly to ensure swift deliveries. Litchi transport leaned on this system, but at the cost of countless couriers' toil and often their lives. The drive to transport litchis seemed to satisfy consort Yang's cravings, but it was truly a display of Xuanzang's power and a means to tighten control over the south. Han Yu wrote in Lament for the Litchi, "A rider in red dust brings the consort's smile, yet none know its litchis that arrived." This line captures the fruit's extravagance while hinting at its deeper political meaning. The southern regions, wild and defiant, were a constant concern for the court. Through litchi tributes, Xuanzang projected imperial benevolence while reinforcing dominance over the south. Yet, the task of carrying this out fell to a small figure like Li Shande. The Tang's other face was its harsh and intricate bureaucracy. The comprehensive mirror records that during the Tianbao era, corruption festered, and the official hierarchy was unforgiving, with junior officials often punished at their superiors' whims. Couriers, as low-ranking officials, held meager status and slim wages, facing dismissal or exile for the slightest error. Li Shande, a mere courier, survived on the mercy of his superiors and the cooperation of his peers. His mission battled not only nature's obstacles but also the whirlpool of human relationships. In this context, Litchi transport becomes a microcosm, reflecting the Tang's power structures, logistics, and cultural landscape. In the novel, the author's meticulous research recreates the Tang's geography and customs. From Chang'an to the south, the route crosses the Qinling Mountains, Sichuan and Jingkou with vivid depictions of courier stations, tea houses, and river crossings. The rugged Qinling, Sichuan's humid heat, Jingkou's wetlands, and the south's miasmic air form the natural gauntlet of Li Shande's journey. Southern lychee groves with toiling farmers, Guangzhou's bustling port with endless merchant ships, and Chang'an's radiant palace halls bring the story to life, showing a small man's struggle across a vast empire. The Tang's cultural spirit shines through the lychee's journey. More than a tribute, the lychee was a cultural emblem. Baijiu wrote in preface to the lychee painting, "Litchis are to the south what grapes are to the western regions." They embodied southern bounty and allure, carrying Tang imaginations of exotic lands. The novel shows this through Li Shande's exchanges with southern farmers, highlighting the clashes of northern and southern cultures. The farmer's simplicity contrasts with Chang'an's opulence, revealing the Tang's diverse and intricate society. 2. Character arc: Li Shande's struggle and growth. Li Shande, a name absent from history's pages, becomes in the novel a stand-in for the Tang's unsung souls. No hero, no noble lineage, just a common courier scraping by on a pittance. Yet, this ordinary man shoulders the immense burden of lychee transport. His story is a saga of dignity, cunning, and resilience. Li Shande's character blends caution with quiet defiance. He knows his lowly place, bowing to survive, yet harbors a spark of unwillingness to be crushed. The novel opens with him facing punishment for a minor slip, nearly losing his livelihood. This moment lays bare his precarious existence and sets the stage for his lychee mission. Given his superior's orders, he has no power to refuse and no resources to succeed, forced to plunge into the task. Such coerced choices were the lot of Tang's lower officials. The old Book of Tang notes that couriers faced flogging or banishment for failed tasks. Li Shande's plight mirrors this grim reality. On his mission, Li Shande reveals remarkable wit and adaptability. Not born brilliant, he leans on his knowledge of courier rules and keen insight into human nature to navigate crises. For instance, he plays on rivalries between stations to secure horses and supplies or negotiates with merchants to fund his journey. These moments show a small man finding cracks to slip through. His cunning isn't scholarly but forged in the fires of repeated setbacks. Tang literature echoes such tales. Du Fu's Shihao official portrays an elder conscripted in war, Baijui's charcoal seller a woodsman fleeced by the elite. Like them, Li Shande, though lowly, radiates humanity's strength in hardship. Li Shande's growth lies in his shift from passive compliance to active agency. At first, he seeks only to save his job and finish the task. But as his journey deepens, he ponders the mission's meaning. Litchis are not just tributes but the fruit of countless sweats and lives. He realizes his work ties to the fates of farmers and runners along the way, not just his own honor. This awakening transforms him from a timid courier to a man of purpose. In the south, he sees farmers toiling sleeplessly to pick litchis. In Sichuan, he learns of runners collapsing from exhaustion. These sights teach him his task carries the weight of many hopes. Li Shande's complexity shines in his interactions. Dealing with his superiors tests his restraint. His boss, Sen Ruyu, a quintessential Tang bureaucrat, is calculating and capricious, forcing Li Shande to tread carefully to avoid wrath. Working with peers shows his sincerity, befriending a Jinzhou runner, Liu Jingji, whose loyalty proves vital. Bargaining with merchants highlights his sharpness, as when he trades litchis for funds with a Hu merchant, Abdul, in Guangzhou. These TIs weave a web of power and profit, mirroring Tang society's intricate dynamics. Li Shande's fate prompts us to ponder the historical weight of small lives. His story doesn't alter the Tang's course but reveals humanity's quiet power on a personal scale. His resolve and resourcefulness echoed the Tang ideal of cultivating self and family. As the Analects say, the gentleman attends to the root. When the root is firm, the way arises. Li Shande lives this truth in his own way. His growth is not just a personal triumph but a tribute to the Tang's unsung masses. 3. Plot progression, the logic and twists of the mission. The Litchi Road builds its plot around Li Shande's Litchi transport mission, unfolding with layered suspense and sharp turns. The author crafts it like a detective tale, breaking the task into puzzles that pull readers into Li Shande's fears and triumphs. The mission begins with Sen Ruyu's order, deliver litchis from the south to Chang'an on a tight deadline. This simple charge hides immense hurdles. First, litchis rot within days. Second, courier stations lack horses and supplies. Third, the long roads brims with rugged terrain and bandits. The novel's vivid details convey the mission's urgency and strain Li Shande's sweating palms and racing heart as he receives the order to capture his dreads. Li Shande's first step is mapping the route. Consulting courier manuals, he calculates distances and times, choosing a water-to-land path. This shows his precision and unveils the Tang logistics complexity. The Tang Compendium describes water stations using boats and landing stations using horse relays, requiring flawless coordination. Li Shande plans to sail up the Pearl River from Guangzhou, switch to landing at Jinzhou, and cross Sichuan to Chang'an, a faster but perilous route facing river storms and mountain risks. In Guangzhou, his first challenge is harvesting and preserving litchis. Picking must happen at dawn when fruits hold dew to stay fresh longer. He teams with farmer Liu Jingji, refining bamboo tube seals with charcoal to absorb moisture, extending litchi life. This innovation highlights his ingenuity and Tang agricultural crafts. Liu, a plain-spoken farmer steeped in litchi lore, warns, "Litchis are fragile. 3 days off the tree, they lose their soul." This line underscores the task's stakes and foreshadows struggles ahead. The journey's greatest tests come from human conflicts. At Jinzhou Station, a shortage of horses sparks a clash with a greedy station master demanding bribes. Li Shande, desperate, spends his savings for 2 swift horses, exposing Tang officialdom's rot and tightening the reader's empathy. In Sichuan's mountains, bandits ambushed him. Their leader, Black Wind Chief, brandishes a blade, but Li Shande, quick-witted, claims to be a court spy, scaring them off. This scene showcases his resourcefulness and adds a pulse of drama. The climax unfolds outside Chang'an. As delivery nears, Li Shande finds some litchis spoiled. He faces a wrenching choice: report the truth and risk punishment, or hide it and betray his conscience. Recalling the farmer's toil and runner's sacrifices, he chooses honesty, kneeling before Sen Ruyu with the litchis, saying softly, "I did my utmost, but heaven spared no mercy. Some fruit is ruined." Surprisingly, Sen praises his integrity, granting 10 taels of silver. This twist resolves the crisis and completes Li Shande's inner journey, aligning with the Tang values of loyalty and candor. The plot's flow relies on the author's grip on historical details. Station operations, litchi preservation, and merchant dealings draw from records like the Old Book of Tang, which notes tribute transports often exhausted men and horses. Li Shande's tale mirrors this truth. The author blends fiction and fact, immersing readers in both story and history, with reversals like a near swindle by a Guangzhou merchant or a misstep into a bandit lair keeping the tension taut. 4. Thematic depth. The philosophy behind the litchi. In the novel, the litchi is more than a tribute. It's a layered symbol. It stands for power and desire while bearing the weight of small lives' struggles and sacrifices. To unpack the book, we must trace the litchi's deeper meanings of humanity and history. First, the litchi embodies power. Xuanzang's litchi runs for consort Yang were both devotion and a flex of imperial might. Yet, behind this lay the labor of countless couriers and farmers. Through Li Shande, the novel exposes power's toll. Han Yu's lament for the litchi says, "Every 10 li, dust flies. Every 5, a post urges men and horses on." This describes the rush but also indicts power's oppression. Li Shande's mission reflects the Tang's rigid hierarchy, each step a silent rebellion against it. Second, the litchi project's desired. Consort Yang's craving for litchis symbolizes humanity's chase for beauty. But this pursuit often costs others dearly. Li Shande witnesses runners collapsing from fatigue and farmers bankrupted by rushed harvests. In his journal, he writes, "One litchi, how many lives is it worth?" This question pierces, urging us to weigh the cost of desire's fulfillment. Such reflections echo Tang literature, like Du Fu's From the Capital to Fengxian, lamenting the elite's feasts amid roadside starvation. Finally, the litchi testifies to struggle. Li Shande's Odyssey is a small man's epic. He strives not for glory but to preserve his duty and dignity. His perseverance reflects the Tang literary ideal of a scholar's will to the way. Bai Jui's Song of Everlasting Regret muses, "Heaven and earth may end, but this sorrow lingers without ceasing." Li Shande's efforts, though they shifted no historical tides, etched an eternal mark in their quiet way. His story affirms that even the humble leave traces in time. Broadly, Li Shande's tale mirrors Tang society, its dazzling heights and corrupt undercurrents, its scholars' honor and commoners' grit. Litchi transport distills these tensions. Through Li Shande, the author shows history as not just the stage of kings but the canvas of ordinary lives' sweat. The novel has Li Shande saying, "Small as a litchi is, its flavor holds the blood and toil of thousands." This sums his mission and honors the value of the overlooked. The litchi's imagery ties to Tang culture's richness. The Tang was poetry's golden age, with litchis starring in verses Du Fu praising their taste, Han Yu mourning their cost, Bai Jui charting their charm. These poems echo the novel's litchi, sketching a vibrant, complex Tang spirit. The litchi is no mere fruit but a window into the Tang soul. 5. Cultural resonance. The litchi and Tang spirit's symphony. The litchi's story is not just Li Shande's personal quest but a reflection of the Tang spiritual world. Known for openness and inclusivity, the Tang's cultural ethos shines in the litchi's journey. We'll explore this through 3 angles: the Tang's open spirit, scholars' sense of duty, and the commoner's survival savvy. First, litchi transport showcases Tang openness. At the Silk Road's peak, Changsha and linked to the south and western regions in a vast exchange web. The new Book of Tang, Western Regions notes trading with over 100 nations, with Hu merchants, Persian monks, and Turkic envoys thronging Chang'an. Litchis traveling from south to Chang'an were a fruit of this network. In the novel, Li Shande meets a Hu merchant, Abdul, in Guangzhou, fluent in Tang speech and trading spices and litchis, embodying Tang society's diversity and vigor. Litchis entering Chang'an's palace marked not just a logistical feat but a triumph of cultural blending. Tang openness also embraced foreign cultures. The south, seen as a wild frontier, produced litchis that became imperial treasures. This shift from margin to center shows Tang tolerance. The novel, through Li Shande's talks with farmers, reveals Southern culture's unique vibrancy. Farmer Li Jingji shares litchi planting secrets, noting locals use them in ancestral rites, a detail highlighting the South's distinct yet vital heritage. Litchi transport tied south to heartland, embodying Tang inclusivity. Second, litchi transport reflects Tang scholars' duty. Steeped in Confucian ideals of cultivating self, ordering family, governing state, and pacifying the world, Tang scholars saw the world as their charge. Though a commoner, Li Shande embodies this ethos. His resolve goes beyond task completion to upholding duty and dignity. In a letter home, he writes, "Lowly as I am, my duty binds me, I dare not falter." This echoes the Analects. A scholar must be steadfast, for his burden is heavy, his road is long. His sense of duty aligns with Tang literary ideals. In Tang literature, duty takes many forms. Du Fu's Three Officials and Three Farewells voice wartime patriotism, Bai Jui's Niu Fu critiques injustice. Li Shande's story carries this thread. His struggle isn't for personal gain but to honor those who rely on him, showing life's duty in both nobles and commoners. Finally, litchi transport highlights commoners' survival savvy. Society's strict hierarchy made life hard for the lowly, yet they honed sharp wits in adversity. Li Shande's savvy shows in his grasp of human nature and rule-bending. He navigates officialdom's unspoken codes, secures scarce resources through station know-how, and barters litchis for merchant backing. His skills, born of repeated failures, are hard-won. Farmer Liu Jingji mirrors this. His charcoal moisture trick to preserve litchis stems from keen nature observation and life's love. He tells Li Shande, "Heaven may be unkind, but man can save himself." This captures the commoner's creed, facing fate's caprice with action and ingenuity. Tang literature reflects this. Bai Jui's charcoal seller toils despite exploitation, Du Fu's conscripted elders endures with silent strength. Li Shande and Liu Jingzi's stories extend this, showing commoners' wits as a vital Tang force. The litchi's cultural weight invites modern reflection. Today, litchis are common, but their story still inspires. Tang openness resonates in our global age, scholars' duty urges us to hold fast to principles, and commoners' savvy pushes us to find paths through hardship. The litchi's tale, spanning centuries, still stirs our lives. Conclusion: the echoes of small lives in history. The Litchi Road weaves a single fruit into a tapestry of Tang splendor and transience. Li Shande's story teaches us that history isn't just grand narratives but the striving and choices of countless small lives. The litchi's sweetness hides the journey's pain, the emperor's laughter overlooks the courier's sweat. Yet, it's these forgotten efforts that sustain history's flow. Reading this book, we might wonder, if I were Li Shande, what would I choose? In today's world, can we, like him, hold to dignity and struggle? The litchi's story has no end. It lives on in everyone hustling through life. May we all find our own litchi on our paths, savoring the sweetness of hard-won triumphs. No matter how times change, the persistence of small lives remains history's most stirring echo.